short tonight.
Good evening, everybody. July 10th, 2017, another rousing council meeting. Glad you're all here. Mr. Ake, you have a full council, looks like. Wonderful. We'll begin with our Pledge of Allegiance, and we're very pleased to have with us this evening our next-door neighbor, Christ United Methodist Church, Pastor David Ballinger, who will lead us in a prayer before we begin. So if you will, please rise.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
O Lord our God, who is a God of order and justice and is pleased when people govern and are governed according to your will, I ask you in the name of Jesus Christ to bless this city and its inhabitants, and bless and guide this meeting this evening. Bestow your guidance upon all who are in authority, and keep them mindful of their sacred trust in public office, and grant them wisdom for their difficult tasks. Give them a sense of honesty and decency, a spirit of humility and service, and a sensitivity to the needs of every citizen. Give to all who live here a grateful heart for the advantages we enjoy, ready obedience to our laws, and a profound concern for the rights and privileges of every citizen. And help us to be a light of the world and a salt of the earth in our community and a blessing to our neighbors. Protect our city from all calamities and epidemics, and shield us especially from those temptations which could corrupt us and cause our citizens to despise you, who is ruler of all. We thank you for our religious liberties. Bless the gospel in our community so that those who live here in our city may find their way to the eternal city, which has its foundations, whose builder you are, and which you have prepared for them that trust you and love you. We thank you for the saying on the wall in front of us, "In God we trust." May it be so. Amen.
Amen.
President Ake, at your meeting, sir.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call the record? Call and determine a quorum. Thank you. Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here. Here.
Thank you. There are no changes to the agenda, so we'll proceed with approval of the minutes. I do have a correction to the minutes on, as stated, June 12th, or ordinance 17-20, Oak Manor PUD. There's a count of the housing units, and it's reported has 10 single-family attached, and that should read 42 single-family attached. And then the other, it should be noted that we passed that on to the APC for further consideration. And then the last under that same thing is Mr. Stump's name is incorrectly spelled. It should be STUMPF. Okay, so with those corrections noted, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
I have a motion by Bob Horke. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second by Mark Keene. All those in favor of approving the minutes as stated with the correction, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The claims are approved. Thank you. Or, the minutes are approved. Moving on to claims. I'd entertain a motion to approve the claims.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question on page 12 on the claims.
Okay?
Generally, it's business practice of a municipality on where it says Huntington National Bank for principal and interest on these 2016 revenue bonds, that a sinking fund be set up to cover. Generally, a lender will require that a sinking fund be set up to do that. Do we not use sinking funds anymore? Does the lender not? Okay. Well, that's, Well, you know, the money's got to come from somewhere, of course, but generally, that forces the municipality to set that money. It assures the lender that money is there to pay what we've promised to pay, of course. That it's in the sinking fund, generally it's 6 months to a year ahead of time when that's plugged in, but you've answered my question.
Something we should be doing, or?
We don't have to, but we can.
Okay, well, I don't want to throw a lot of dirt up in the air, but that's generally the way I've seen it done with other municipalities.
See the way it's done, I'm sure the clerk treasurer.
Well, it's probably could stand some exploration before we actually do it and make sure that it's proper, but generally, a sinking fund assures the lender that, yeah, it's there and it's going to be paid.
All right, thank you for that comment. So I'd entertain a motion to approve claims.
So moved.
All right. Can I have a second?
Second.
Joe Edwards made a motion. It was seconded by Bob Horke. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'd ask you to signify by saying aye to approve claims.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Claims are approved. Thank you. There are no miscellaneous business or special presentations tonight, so we'll move into our first item of old business. It's ordinance 1716, amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance and the Holland House Planned Unit Development, presented by Matt Pleasant. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you, and good evening, council. Ordinance 1716 is an amendment to the currently existing Holland House PUD located at the southeast corner of State Road 32 and Wheeler Road, also known as the Monon Marketplace and the Rickers Gas Station. This ordinance was introduced to you at the May 8th council meeting, held its public hearing at the June 5th Plan Commission meeting, and received a unanimous favorable recommendation of approval from Plan Commission on June 19th. There has been no substantive changes since the introduction. Joe Caldron of Barnes and Thornburg is here to represent the petitioner. Does not have anything to present for you this evening, but if you have any questions, both he and I are here for any questions. Thank you.
Is there any questions for the petitioner? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance 1716.
All right, can I have a second, please?
Second.
Second from Mr. Hoover. Is there any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes.
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 All right, thank you. That was all under old business. Moving on to new business. Ordinance 17-21 is also up for, this is a council introduction for Osborne Trails.
Correct. Thank you again, council. The item being introduced to you this evening is ordinance 17-21 that will amend the previously approved Osborne Trails PUD. This ordinance will incorporate more real estate adjacent to the PUD. I would like to introduce Jim Schinover and Nelson Frankenberger to further present this petition. Thank you.
Thank you and good evening. For the record, my name is Jim Schinover. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Nelson and Frankenberger. Also with me tonight is Paul Rio, president of Platinum Property, who is the applicant for this particular proposal. The exhibit that you're looking at on the overhead projector is outlined in yellow, the existing boundary area of the approved Osborne Trails PUD that was approved earlier this year in February. That particular exhibit was included as Exhibit A to your text amendment ordinance that we are proposing at this time. You will see on, there we go, on Exhibit A. You will see, as Matt described, there's an additional 25 acres located in this area, which is just east of, just north of and adjacent to 191st Street and east of and adjacent to Horton Road. What we're proposing with this text amendment is to add that additional 25 acres into the existing PUD. Generally, the reason for this request is as Platinum Properties was going through the original PUD approval, there was proposed conceptual ideas and discussions about the road connections from east to west and north to south. As you can see on this particular exhibit, which was included behind tab 2, or on Exhibit B of the proposed text amendment ordinance. What's occurred since the approval of the original PUD ordinance is that more certainty has been provided as to the potential road design in those areas. And so, as a result of that, Mr. Rio has worked with the adjacent landowner that owns that 25 acres, put it under contract, and is proposing to add it to the existing PUD. The 25 acres, which generally is located in this particular area right here, would come in, if the text amendment were approved, would come in as Area A to the existing PUD, so it would share the exact same current development standards as Area A of the existing PUD requires. There'd be no other changes to the underlying Osborne Trails PUD ordinance other than adding in this additional 25 acres and depicting the road design in that area. One of the other benefits of this is now we're better able to accommodate the road connections, the proposed roundabout, and also it would include the inclusion of the additional 25 acres would then provide some additional real estate that could be developed under the Area A permitted uses, which would be for local business. But with that said, we would then appear next before the Plan Commission on August 7th for our first public meeting, and I'll remain available along with Matt, of course, to answer any additional questions you might have regarding this proposal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for the petitioner?
Area A business, not the houses.
Yes, sir. The Area A underlying designation in the PUD is for the local business standards. So that's the area, the 25 acres that would be added with this text amendment.
You're taking Spring Mill up and moving it into Horton Road then?
Yes, sir. This particular design, Mr. Rio has worked in conjunction with staff and Public Works to show that desired realignment. So we've included that to the district map, which again is the Exhibit B to the proposed text amendment.
Right in that corner, there's some, especially where 193rd Street takes off, that is really a low area, so you'll have some drainage problems in that area. That's generally covered with water when we have a 1 or 2 inch rain.
We'll make certain that our engineers look at that as we proceed forward in the event the text amendment were approved and we go through the plating process.
I travel that road frequently.
What is the current zoning to the north and the east?
I might defer to Matt maybe to answer that to the north and east.
All the zoning right there is AGSF1, Agriculture Single Family Low Density District, both north of the Osborne Trails and the east and all the way up to Chatham Hills.
Do you know how many parcel owners are going to be touching this new area?
Not right now, not this time. Are you asking me what for the Pictor property is?
Just total impact with the new acreage?
I can get that to you this week, if you'd like.
Any other questions? All right, we'll pass on to APC.
Appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you very much. All right, at this time, does anybody wish to address council? Seeing none, we'll move on to city council comments. APC, Steve Hoover.
APC met June 19th, had a relatively short meeting. We sent the Holland House PUD amendment, which we acted on this evening, with a favorable recommendation. The trails received an approval for a secondary plat and a overall development plan. We also approved a detailed development plan for new pro containers on South Park Drive. that was it.
Thank you. Any other comments from council?
The Oversight Committee has got some software up and running, and hopefully, when Tammy gets back from, I've been on vacation, Tammy's been on vacation, and when we get back, why, there will be more, and we will involve the whole city council at that point in time, so.
All right. I think it's moving along pretty well, don't you, Joe?
Yep.
Good, good. All right, and I'd just like to thank our Parks Department and everybody involved, safety, and I know Mayor will probably make some comments, but the 4th of July celebration at Graham Park was widely attended and such a huge success. I know I was out there and everybody that I encountered was having a wonderful time. So Melody, thank you and your crew for putting together a great program out there. It was fabulous. Mayor.
Yes. Yeah, I'd pick up right there, Jim, the 4th of July celebration. I wish I could convey to all of our city employees all of the thanks and the gratitude that I received from people for not only the organization, but the safety that was there. The way the cars got in and out was just fantastic. I also learned, and I announced that evening, I didn't know this, is Joe Ingles, right, Joe, who serves on our redevelopment commission, a local citizen, has been involved in the choreography and the development of those fireworks every year. And it's just kind of his thing, I guess. And I didn't know that. And of course, the music, the choreography along with it was just absolutely first class. So it's kind of a homegrown thing all the way around. Great job, Melody, to all your staff. Chief Rush for getting everybody in and out of there and working with the fire department to keep all safe. Was a huge endeavor. And speaking of the cops, we just notified today that Westfield moved up one number in safest cities in Indiana to number 12 in the nation, or the state. Even though, unlike most of our communities, we are inundated with public every weekend, sometimes approaching the population of our city. Joel and his crew continue to keep crime at a always too high, but a great level, Joel. Thank you for your work there. The 4th of July celebration was started off early in the morning by something that all of you know I do not do, and that was run. I did eat 2 donuts, but we had a 5K, I think, and I lose track of the Ks. There was a bigger one, and then next year, I believe you want to do a mini marathon. Is that right? Yeah. Yes, our runner, Smithers, huh? Yes. Well, you can have it, but I think it would be wonderful to see. So yeah, that was a huge success also. Let's see, also in parks, movie in the park is Friday, Ace of Bales. You can go to the website, details that. Coffee with a Cop, July 18th at Chick-fil-A. August 1st, kind of a neat annual event, we have the Jake Laird Community Day. This is in honor of Timothy Jake Laird, who was killed in the line of duty on August 18th in 2004. Our police coincide with National Night Out with that endeavor, which gives a great activity put on by the police department for kids and food and activities. Check it out on the website. Coming up at Graham Park this weekend, very, very busy. We have the U.S. Club Soccer will be occupying all the fields along with the 17 age amateur baseball championships. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday are all the finals out there. We also, as we've announced, we're moving into this Westfield Green initiative. This coming week, we're going to be working on composting out at Maple Glen School. Dr. Sherry Grade and I will be out there with first and second graders on Friday, and we're going to learn about composting. So it'll be a piece of our green initiative here in Westfield. Back to parks. We are undergoing a 5-year action plan for our parks. You'll see these situated around the city. We'd like your input on what we need to do with our parks next. Downtown, you see some of the homes along Union Street beginning to come down as part of the Grand Junction Plaza. That just started this week, and that'll continue for the next couple weeks. Excitingly downtown, you know, especially with Restaurant Row on Park Street and our downtown restaurants, I don't need to tell you, parking has been somewhat of an issue. I think it's been kind of fun, but it's been a challenge, and through the generosity of one of our local jewelers, Dan Moyer, who recently purchased the property of the former Park Street Pub. He has allowed the city graciously to use his entire parking lot there to the east of his building. We have gravelled it, marked it. We'll be putting a tent up, and Mr. Moyer has donated the use of a parking shuttle that will begin this Thursday from that lot, go down, hopefully, right? We're shooting for that. Go down Park Street, hit the downtown area, come back on Jersey Street, and we timed it at about 8 minutes. So that's going to be a pretty neat addition, I think, to the downtown.
Would that be a good place for a Rotary bench?
You know what? I actually spoke to one of your Rotarians yesterday who told me he was buying one and he'd like to put it there.
I thought so.
It'd be a wonderful
We
place
found a
in that
home
little
for it
tent.
then.
Yes. So, and back to Grant Park, Aaron was a little nervous about me saying this, but we were notified earlier today that the TV show HBO Sports with Brian Gumbel will be taping out at Grant Park this Friday. They interviewed us a couple months ago on what Graham Park is, and somehow they must have heard about it, so they're going to be here, and Aaron will be watching me to be sure that we don't embarrass any of you citizens here in Westfield. So that'll be some pretty good news. I see Mr. Henke, Steve, and Brad are in the audience. You've got a pretty neat thing going on. I know it's reservation, but Steve, tell us what you're introducing to Westfield this week.
We're introducing the Lindley Barn. That's a project that we just did, working on the last 6 months. We've already had 3 weddings in it, 160-person wedding, 180, and a 300-person wedding. The barn's absolutely incredible. We're having a grand opening kind of a bit this Thursday to be used for events in the Chatham community, you know, like movie nights, picnics at the barn, things like that. We golf carts, but also public standpoint, a lot of events there. It really is probably the most state-of-the-art barn in the whole state. The city would be really proud of it.
Yep, very historical.
Very historical, built in about 1835, 1840. It's one of those things, once you start on a project, it becomes a lot more than you thought it was going to be. And we really, all the people that worked on it, the hundreds of people that worked on it, did an incredible job. It was a great event.
Great addition to Westfield, thank you. It's great. And the sweet corn's coming? All right, this Saturday for the first time? 9/1, downtown, farmer's market, sweet corn. All right,
Good.
that's all I got.
I'm into that. That sounds wonderful. I take it your barn is not my grandfather's barn.
Not your grandfather?
My grandfather's barn. He didn't have any IT stuff in there and fancy stuff. He had mostly dairy cows, so I'm sure it's a lot cleaner than that.
Well, it really turned out pretty well. We actually put in 2.5-inch solid oak onion roof flooring in it, and everything else. We were able to keep all the old hand-hewn timbers to form the framework for it, and the foundation is all boulders, literally from the property we used to create that. So that's all authentic. And everything took some anxious to show it to you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Second? Second. All's in favor?
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank you.